you look for advice online about what you should do to run a D&D game for 6 or more players, you're going to come across one piece of advice consistently. Don't. And I understand where those DMs are coming from. Running for 6 or more players is really difficult, but it's also possible. And some of the best D&D experiences I've had in 20 years came from a 7-player game that was a 2.5-year campaign online. So today I want to talk about some of the tools and techniques I implement to make running a game for 6 or more players feasible. First and foremost, I talk to my players. I talk to my players about the fact that running for this many players can be a bit of a clusterfuck, can be difficult. People can talk over each other. People can feel unheard. So we all have to work together to make sure that the spotlight gets shared. I bring the players themselves in to become part of the solution and not just part of the problem. We go over techniques for how to pull other players into the spotlight. That out of the way, here are some of the other things that I do. First of all, I implement a technique that we've been using since we were 4 years old. Raise your hand. Now, I don't mean they need to raise their hand to say absolutely everything, but if there's a time that they're trying to say something and they're getting talked over or they can't find the right time, all they have to do is raise their hand. I give them a little nod, yes, I see you, and then I'll be able to give them focused spotlight time. Another thing I do for online games, because with 7 players online, it's so easy to talk over each other, I create text channels in addition to the voice channels. Out of character, in-game, during game, general, whatever it may be, so that the players can still communicate a lot without interrupting the flow of the game that's happening in the voice and video channel. As a little bonus, I also then get to scroll through all of their comments and gifts that they've sent each other over the entire session, see how they've been responding to things, see their inside jokes, see their theories. It's great. Third thing I implement, and I know this is controversial in Dungeons & Dragons, but hear me out, I use a combat timer for any combat that is of significant size. I give each player 1 minute to announce what they're doing and start the process of rolling. If they haven't announced and started rolling by the time 1 minute is done, their character will default to the dodge action. Now, in the 8 months I've been using this, not one PC has defaulted to the dodge action. Not one. So what it does is it encourages them to think about what they're going to do ahead of time, and it adds a little bit of that time pressure that makes sense in combat. What about table talk, you might ask? I'm glad you asked. At the top of every initiative order, before any of the players goes, they all get 60 to 90 seconds of group table talk to plan out what they're going to do. After that 60 to 90 seconds, no more table talk for the rest of that round, and we just need to roll. Because with 6 to 7 players, combat can get really sloggy if you don't have a timer. It can get really sloggy even if you do have a timer. So having this is absolutely necessary for a game of this size, in my opinion. So yeah, those are the things that I do. I talk to my players to set expectations and ask for their help in solving the potential problems. I use text channels, I encourage them to raise their hand, and I implement a combat timer. If you've done anything to help make running a game for 6 or more players feasible, please leave a comment so that I can possibly implement it in my games.